Revolution of the Doctor? You know when something bugs you, not in a way that upsets you, but actually really interests you, and you just have to ramble about it until you find out exactly what it means? Because that's exactly what Chibnall has done to me. Again. In his New Year's script of Doctor Who, Revolution of the Daleks, there are all these tiny choices in the script that perked my ears up. Not just the foundation work for Thasman that made me cry, nor the camera barrel shot of 13 that almost made me jump, or the enjoyment my family sat beside me had when Captain Jack Harkness came sauntering onto the screen. No, what really bugged me and interested me was the amount of time the 13th Doctor spent in the Jadoon space prison. Her stagnation, rumination, and isolation that she hid from the fam. And exactly what happened when she reunited with them. And Jack, of course. Due to the attention given to the companions this episode, and rarely so because they're the emotional centerpiece, all these writing choices for 13 flew under the radar. Until now. Dun dun dun! Oh, I'm so blowing this out of proportion. But we're going with it, we're going with it. In a montage, we are shown the life that the Doctor has in prison, just going through the motions of being forced to live there. She talks to herself to keep sane, she tells herself a bedtime story, until her monotony changes. There's a knock on the wall. A wall covered in marks made to count the days. Well, I assumed imagine this is a Nightjar and Beryllium situation. Oh, nope, 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 nope. We're not thinking about Riversong right now. Because when this day of hope appears, that's when it gets interesting, when Chibnall drops his first line that incited me.
What? Who's there? Stay strong. People waiting for you.
The character of the Doctor, always wanted to use hope and reason, turns away from the knock. She mutters this to herself like a mantra, shuts down the hope she gets from hearing that knock, because maybe she can't reason with herself that the knock might have just been in her head. And her head is already busy enough. But this scene further builds when Jack's breaking out of the prison, talking about how he did it, and he mentions it.
Took 19 years to get to the cell next to you. Hope you had enough to occupy your mind.
And she responds with,
Too much.
and all I can think is back to when this character who couldn't face being alone after being teased with Ruth and the Master, wanting to skip straight to tomorrow to be distracted with adventures, actually chose to sit down and think after the timeless child revelation, only to be taken from her home at her most vulnerable and chucked into a prison with too much to think about. Too many questions, and with no way of getting answers, especially without a TARDIS. But now she's back on the TARDIS with Jack, at home and finally safe, only to share that vulnerability with Jack by thinking out loud and answering honestly.
I was in prison for being me, right at the point when I wasn't sure what that meant. It's been a tough few decades.
You're okay now, yeah?
I guess we'll find out. Wakey, wakey.
Two very key things happened here: the admittance rather than avoidance of self, and the amount of time that trauma has taken to settle, yet still hasn't settled. It's like as the TARDIS powers up, 13 does as well. At her fingertips is a safe space and a way to figure out who she is. But rather than chase after what she desperately wants, she goes after what she desperately needs. The three people she missed so much. It's like she's trying to turn back time, forcibly switch back to her happier self, as she takes out her old clothes that at one time represented how proud and sure she was of her newly regenerated identity. Cut to the actual script, it mentions how the Doctor steps out, now restored back to her clothes. This is when she arrives at Graham's house and exits the TARDIS, that smiling facade back on her face and her tone full of adventure, as she tries to hide how long and how horrible it was being in jail and separated from the fam. Because she never tells them about that pain. She immediately hides it. And she hides the possibility for them to question what happened to her when she flippantly states,
Hi, I was in space jail.
and when Yas furiously pushes her, stating,
We were worried about you.
and it slowly dawns on 13 how long she's actually been gone. It eradicates the chance of the happy reunion she was hoping for and makes her confront not only how things have changed, but how she caused her fam the very same pain she wants to avoid. She processes this news with denial and regret. And in my mind, she's not only apologizing to them, but to herself. She's sorry she can't keep pretending everything's the same. And so she's thrown back to that pain that she endured in prison, of uncertainty and disappointment and anger and so much more. And to think she caused them the same pain. It takes a toll on her, but she avoids that feeling by distracting herself with the present danger the Daleks pose, and takes comfort not from their family like she hoped she would, but from playing her role within their dynamic. Because she will protect them better this time. And then the TARDIS forces her to slow down by taking its sweet time and transporting everyone to Osaka. Side note, I think this incarnation of the Doctor has a special bond with TARDIS because it gives her time to brood all throughout season 12. It's there when she needs it most in Ghost Monument and The Timeless Children, and it even helps her connect with her companions by distracting her before Praxis, and now with allowing Ryan to talk to her alone. It is her support system, her safe space, which is why it's so heartbreaking and heartwarming that PR the Doctor spoiler here, skip to the time stuff ahead. Alright, I'm gonna do the spoiler now. She doesn't destroy the TARDIS by regenerating inside it like 12 did. It's like the TARDIS gave her the strength in the sunset to face regeneration alone, knowing it'll be by their side no matter who she regenerates into. Anyways, back to the matter at hand. 13 and Ryan have a little chat where 13 is their socially awkward self, and it's noticeable how the time passed away from each other has created this distance between the two. However, Ryan closes that distance when 13 tries to avoid talking about what happened.
It doesn't even matter now.
And acknowledges that he knows her well enough by now to
know when something's changed.
I think that line is what gives 13 permission to be vulnerable, because it acknowledges their friendship, the time away, and her identity in one fell swoop. It's why she's able to be so honest with her feelings, share her inner monologue that's constantly spiraling, because that's how much the Timeless Shadow reveal has broken her, how much she needed to talk to someone about it rather than be forced to isolate in a Jejune jail. But Ryan is able to break her out of that spiral due to their shared honesty, answer the question that's haunting her, and give her a concrete solution. He states,
You're the Doctor? Same as before, same as always?
he tells her exactly what she needs to hear. That even if her past changed, even if his future changed because she was gone, that she's still the same person to him, his friend. But 13 tries to protect herself by taking away the wrong message.
Right. Same Doctor, same Ryan. Nothing's changed.
And Ryan corrects her. He doesn't let her wallow in the lie she told herself to survive prison and get home. In fact, he says something quite doctor-like to inspire hope in facing her new reality with the fam and her identity as the timeless child.
No. I didn't say that, did I? Things change. All the time. And they should, because they have to. Same with people. Sometimes we get a bit scared because new can be a bit scary, right?
New can be very scary.
And now that Ryan's getting through to her, he bursts her bubble by stating so plainly the solution to the problem. A solution she's dreading but knows needs to happen.
So when we're done with this Dalek problem, you find out about your own life. Confront the new or the old. And then everything will be alright.
13 lets this sink in and actually allows her doubts to come out, because Ryan's assured her that it's okay to be unsure, to be afraid of change, and to allow change to happen nevertheless. She is solidifying this second opinion and internalizing it with a glimmer of hope now. And he provides that comfort, that certainty, and that validation that she's been craving for decades. One which she thought she wouldn't get now because she came back too late and her fam had changed without her. In fact, she shows her appreciation of Ryan in this moment by plainly saying, in order to reciprocate that comfort offered,
Thank you, Ryan. For being my friend.
and now 13 has the strength to go through her own revolution. See what I did there? Yeah, it's not that clever. She starts to go back to being herself, talking to herself to reassure herself, stay on track, and find out how to stop this episode's enemy. And with the writing choice of having this episode's enemy be a Dalek, something she has such a long history with, that opposes everything she stands for, she's able to stand on her own 2 feet again and make this powerful declaration.
No weapons. No time to think. All that time in a cell wondering who I am. I'm the Doctor. I'm the one who stops the Daleks. All of you, to the TARDIS, now!
She finds this inner strength in acting out her role, giving her no time to question who she is because she's too busy showing it. And when she shows how she's changed Graham to be the sort of man to confront danger rather than logically run away, She's proud of him and Ryan wanting to protect Earth like she does, saying she's okay with them bombing the Daleks since she
Couldn't stop them even if I wanted to.
and their solution works. But not entirely. Of course, Jack informs 13 about Robertson's Daleks being destroyed. He says there's bad news that comes with it, and 13 quips,
Can we stop there and pretend there's no bad news?
now, I'm sure this fun line was just written to show how quippy and quirky the Doctor is, but I'm already blowing things out of proportion by overanalyzing everything she says this episode, so why stop now? Because this line can speak to how exhausted 13 must be, how she can't handle having another problem on her plate, and how she wants things to just stay solved or known or just the same status quo. However, she digests this bad news and uses her identity as the Doctor to her advantage. Yeah, you go 13. However, she doesn't tell Yaz her wonderful solution, and she practically steamrolls over Yaz by commanding,
You're gonna have to trust me on this, Yaz. When have I ever let you down before?
and immediately 13 knows she struck a chord. Because she slipped back into pretending there was no time nor pain apart. She slipped back into a dynamic that flippantly disregards Yaz's feelings. But she dials back and recenters in the present moment. She knew her apology before wasn't enough, that she can't keep apologizing because that doesn't change what happened. So she resolves to promise.
I won't disappear again.
She tries actions, not words, for that is the route she took to feeling herself again, by being the Doctor that defends the Earth. But Yaz instantly guts her by speaking her truth, and one truth that all doctors try to avoid.
Yeah, you will. One day you will.
And there's a moment where they both let this sink in, but they come to a standstill where they can't make any progress with each other due to their bottled emotions. Yet, thankfully, the impending doom of the Daleks knits them back together in order to save the Earth and their relationship. Yay, go Daleks. Now, after that heartbreak, on to another! Let's skip ahead to the final moments of the special, or really, the final moments that the fam spends together. I can't play out this whole scene due to copyright, so to avoid being choppy head, I shall generalize and summarize. That's a skill I have, yeah. Alright, in this scene, Ryan speaks up for himself, and 13 nods, acknowledging how the time apart helped Ryan grow. And then Ryan attributes traveling with her, knowing what she stands for, to inspiring him about what to do with his own life. She's both understanding and absolutely gutted, blaming herself yet proud of what the 10 months did to Ryan, saying,
10 months. Made it back too late. Missed my time with you.
and Ryan is not having any of that self-deprecation and extends a hug out to her. He comforts her when she's steeling herself against her fear of abandonment, after everything she went through to get her fam back and regain a footing in her identity. But at least she accepts the reality of the situation, that things change, 10 months pass, and people grow. So, with that in mind, she nervously looks to Graham and Yaz. Yaz is way too quick to agree, which overjoys 13. She's fragile, okay? And to explain her joy, 13 says,
2 hearts. One happy, one sad.
beyond this emotional moment, this sentiment could also extend to her own duality. Knowing who she is, yet not knowing who she once was. Being a Time Lord, yet not being one in the way she thought. She's happy to be the Doctor, but sad because that title might mean something else long ago. But ultimately, the Doctor always ends up here, back in this current predicament, happy to travel with others, but sad to see that traveling end. Now, she looks to Graham and he reiterates some wisdom that she stated when they first consented to traveling with her. Wisdom which Ryan echoed to comfort her earlier.
And I remember, Doc, what you said, you know, that we wouldn't come back the same people, and you're right, just not in the way I thought. I'm ready. I wanna be at home with my grandson.
They share in humor instead of tears at their goodbye. Graham thanks 13 for the opportunity, and after 13 hugs them to accept how much of this is changing, that their dynamic could be ending, how much Graham and Ryan have grown, and how much she'll miss them. Graham stabs her in the heart by saying,
And Doc, I was wrong. We do get aliens in Sheffield.
They exit, and she's left standing alone. But she's not alone. Yaz is there to hear 13's regrets spilling out.
I could always use the TARDIS to go back. Arrive an hour after you guys. Change the timeline. Then we'd have more time together.
She could be reckless, cross the time stream to selfishly steal away Ryan and Graham's growth, save Yaz from the distress and distrust that festered over 10 months, not have to confront losing them when she just caught them back. Escape the moment. Escape what the Timeless Child reveal did to her. Go back to normal. Avoid this painful reality. And as she shuts off to avoid feeling, avoid thinking about it, avoid talking about it, Yaz grounds her, but possibly pushes her away by saying,
It's okay to be sad.
once again, a companion tells 13 she's allowed to feel her own feelings. But 13 is exhausted. It's like if she gives herself permission to feel this, everything else she's been putting off feeling will come crashing in. And she'll be devastated. Remember, she hasn't told Yaz about how she's grieving the loss of Gallifrey, her people, her identity. And now she's lost Ryan and Graham too? She doesn't have the energy to tell her that. She doesn't have the energy to fucking feel all that. It's just too much. So she shuts off. She puts her walls back up. Or at least that's what I assume happened, since we cut to that beautiful scene of Graham helping Ryan to learn how to ride a bike on that very same hilltop where their first scene was. And in the actual script, there's just this beautiful description about how Grace is watching over them now and how 13 was watching over them, but isn't anymore. I'll put it up on screen so you can see it. I probably have already done that. Anyways, it would have been really interesting to see what actually happened to 13 and Yaz after that moment. If 13 just barreled into another adventure to avoid feeling, or made some excuse to be alone in the TARDIS. But given how Yaz stands up to 13 in the following episode of Flux, my guess is 13 is not very keen on sharing her thoughts, feelings, or reasoning anymore. Or still, since I suppose she does revert back to her closed off self from previous times, especially Series 12 vibes. Anyways, the writing for this episode was right to focus on Graham and Ryan instead, since they were the emotional centerpiece, and that goodbye was beautiful. But I just can't believe how many breadcrumbs were dropped by 13 that I completely missed on my first watch through. Chibnall, why does reading your script make me reinterpret what I saw with my own eyes? Also, should clarify, I'm not giving Chibnall any shit for this episode. It was solid and still hurts on a rewatch. And if you've rewatched it lately, let me know if you caught some of these breadcrumbs or have any different interpretations for them in the comments below. I feel slightly crazy in overanalyzing this since I'm in no way 13's therapist, but I just had to get this off my chest. It's been years since this came out and I'm still not over it. Same with Power of the Doctor. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to me ramble and process. You're the best. I better go, otherwise we'll be here for a long time. Yeah. Thank you. And bye.